Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome to day 42 of the Chronological Read Through the Bible. Today's commentary is covering Exodus chapter 32 through 34. I'm primarily going to be looking at 32. So Moses has been up on the mountain for 40 days before the Lord, receiving God's instructions to him, when the Lord tells him that the people in the camp have turned away, that the people in the camp are doing evil. As Moses comes down from the mountain, he can hear this noise, this reveling. It's not the noise of war, it's not the noise of victory. It's a celebration, it's dancing, it's hollering, it's all kinds of partying, basically. I want to read verse 18 from chapter 31. It says, "When he had finished speaking with him upon Mount Sinai, he gave Moses the 2 tablets of testimony, tablets of stone, written by the finger of God." So Moses had these tablets holding the 10 Commandments in his hand, and when he arrives at the base of the mountain and sees what is happening with the people, how they have turned away from God, Moses takes these tablets and smashes them. Now, I don't think that it was symbolic as much at first as much as it was just anger, disappointment. But it does picture the people having broken God's law. We had this picture that they had already been told the law, but God had put it on the stones so that all would be able to see it and know it. The Lord tells Moses that the people had quickly turned aside, that they had began to worship these false gods, images. I want to read this part. "Then the Lord spoke to Moses, 'Go down at once to your people.'" Now, they're no longer God's people, they're now Moses' people, your people, "whom you brought up out of the land of Egypt. They have corrupted themselves. They have quickly turned aside from the way which I commanded them. They have made for themselves a molten calf, and have worshipped, and have sacrificed to it, and said, 'This is your God, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt.'" I believe there was a part of this, and I'm not trying to make an excuse for them. I'm saying this in the sense of, you'd say, well, why the golden calf? I think because it was likely a bull, not just a young calf. It was likely a young bull, and they had probably done this with the remembrance of one of the bull gods of Egypt, where it was believed that he appeared, this god of Egypt appeared in a clap of thunder and flash of light. And as they're seeing the thunder and lightning and the fire and the smoke on the mountain as Moses is there, they probably use this at least as the excuse for building up and exalting this particular god of Egypt. It's not, in a sense, as much that they made this as much as it's that they envision something other than who God is. And the fact that it's not having made an image of God with their bare hands as much as having made one in their mind first. When the scripture says that we shouldn't make an image of God, it's not just meaning having made it with our hands, but too many people really create their own problem because they make God in their mind. They have a mental picture of who God is and what God is like, even down to what he looks like. But I'm speaking of, they think of his attributes, just like Job's friends did. It was, their mindset was, the only reason God would do this is because you've done something wrong. When it wasn't God doing that to Job at all. God had only removed and allowed the devil to work, but that was ultimately to glorify God. I want to encourage you to guard yourself that you don't make yourself an image of God. I've heard this teaching before, and it's really very inappropriate, but someone will say, well, just picture yourself walking into the throne room of God and picturing God being there on his throne. And no. The Bible tells us not to do something like that. Yet people did that. And I've heard preachers even give that illustration, and that is not appropriate to do. Whether you made it with your hands or you make it with your mind, we're not to form an image of the Lord. I don't know how to really say that any clearer, but that is what the scriptures tell us. Please don't make this image in your mind of who God is or what he looks like. Just take the Bible. Take what the scriptures have to say about the Lord. That should be sufficient. Moses, though, his response to the Lord, instead of like, oh, God, you're going to destroy them and then make me a great person. Wow, that is wonderful. I kind of wondered why you didn't do that before. That's not what Moses says. He actually begins to plead or intercede before God on the behalf of the people. Then Moses entreated the Lord his God and said, O Lord, why does your anger burn against your people? And Moses said, not my people, your people. Why does it burn against your people? And he says, whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand. Why should the Egyptians speak, saying, with evil intent he brought them out to kill them in the mountains and destroy them from the face of the earth? Turn from your burning anger and change your mind about doing harm to your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or Israel, your servants to whom you swore by yourself, and to them I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heavens, and all this land of which I have spoken I will give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever. To this, what I really want to point to is the fact that Moses begins to intercede and to beg God on behalf of the people, and to say, hey, God, what would the Egyptians say? Moses could have just as fast said, hey, God, I'm so glad you finally are seeing things. I knew I should be the one to lead these people all this time. And yet that's not the approach which he has. This will remain a mark and a stain upon the people for many, many years to come. You will see this as the Bible unfolds. Well, brothers and sisters, I hope that you've had a blessed day. Until tomorrow.